All right. In the very first beginning of the session, we have seen how to, as an end user, how to go through each dashboard and understand the graphs. As an end user, how he's going to filter the data, how he's going to analyze. Based on the typical graph, what a developer has created, you'll be in a position to take a management decisions based on the information provided by the developer. So now, in the second week, if you observe, I try to play a role called developer, wherein myself I created the data set or typically provided by your SME or any process. That information I thoroughly studied what this data is all about. Okay, if it is sales, sales information, what is the total number of sales happened in this particular region or the country or any east, west, north, south regions, and what is the number of units sold, how many, what is the profit totally. So probably these are the key elements what I found in the sales data information. Had it been some other data set, I'll be having a different segments over there. So having understood the data, because without understanding, we cannot create anything and we don't know what we can expect from the dashboard. So we need to understand the key elements which plays a very important role for the management who can take the decisions on your based on your dashboard. So that is what we have seen in the second module. But in the third, today we are going to start the real live environment of situation where we are going to talk about more about the data, and we are going to talk about a typical one or two charts to just to get familiar with, uh, make your hands dirty on this particular different windows. So before learning any tool, not only just Qliksense, QlikView, Power BI, or talk about any other BI tool, first try to understand the steps to be followed to create an app. Later on, the major thing comes as, all right, sorry. So typically, when you start understanding the data, the second would be transformation of data. Because in the real world, we can't expect the data will be very neat and hygiene, where you can start directly consuming it for your creating dashboard. So we'll play the role of massaging the data as well. And in the third place, we'll try to create the graphical presentation by using your Qliksense itself. So typically, we are following three stages here. One is loading the data, transformation of your data, then you are putting on the dashboard. So that's how it works. So let's try to create a one more app very quickly, giving a name, some nice name to it. I want to say something like sales dashboard, maybe sales info, and I just said create. That's it. It's quite easy to create, whether you're using a desktop, whether you're using a cloud, whether you are using an enterprise version. Everywhere you will find this add new button, probably in the create new. That is what we have an option in the licensed version, that is licensed version. But however, you will see on the very first page itself one option where it will allow you to create an app. Now my app is ready, but I don't see anything in that, obviously because I have not created anything as such. So the very first thing when I open the app, the very first question which is going to be asked by your Qliksense app is, can you please tell me where is your data? Because why it is asking that polite question before we actually creating the dashboard? Because the base for any BI tool, not only Qliksense, the base for BI tool is your data. So without loading the data, without putting the data into this particular so-called application, we cannot start our journey. So as I said, there are two options which we can follow here: add data from the files and other sources. That is the first option. Second option, script editor. All right. So the very first one, if you see, if I say, no wonder if it is, if I say like this is created for those people who are completely beginners, or it is specially designed for those who never programmed, it is specially designed for those who never seen dashboards in their life. And without taking much pain, you can easily create the dashboard by using the very first option. All right. So that is what adding data files and other sources, this is called as a data manager. The first option is called as a data manager. Second option is called as a script editor. So there are two ways of loading your data. Either you can choose the first option, either you can use a script editor. We'll try to understand more about these editors once you get inside. But before that, I want to give a clear caution. If you are using the first option, keep using the first option for your entire dashboard. If you're using the second option, use the second option for your entire dashboard. Now the question is why? Why I can't use the two options? First option because it's so easy. Being a non-programmer, you can use. But why you're telling me not to use the second option when I'm using the first one? The thing is, when you're trying to use the first option, it is just drag and drop. As I said, it's a graphical user interface. The second one is typically, I want to learn the scripting. I want to learn the coding. I want to write everything manually in order to get the data, transform the data to create your dashboard. So when you start using both at once for a single dashboard, you lose on synchronization. What I mean synchronization, let's assume by using the first option, you have loaded something called employees data. Okay, by using the second option, that is a script editor related to something employees, you loaded one more table. They can never talk to each other. The synchronization will not be there. Typically the synchronization you'll not find when you're using the both the options. So either use the first option continuously and for your entire dashboard, or you can use a script editor also. Still I say, let me just go against what I said statement now. Still I want to use the both option. What's wrong? Yes, you can use, but if you think, if your dashboard doesn't require any synchronization, we can start using the both option. Doesn't matter at all. We'll see a practical in action. What does that mean? Sometimes I'm saying you're not supposed to use, and just now I'm saying you can use. But practically, when I put it in action, you will only decide which is the best option to go for. As I said, the second script editor is a much more comfortable option, though it takes a lot of time to understand this editor in writing the script and everything. But once you understand and familiarize, once you become the master of it, you will start enjoying it. Because when I use the script editor, you will have the complete hold on your data. You know what you're doing. You know how what data you loaded. You know what transformations you have done. You know where it leads to. So you'll have the complete control. Whenever you want to do some changes, you can easily do it. Whenever you want to some completely change the data set to something else, we can still do it. So that is the second option. But however, we'll try to focus on the first option first, so that we can make our life easy and become comfortable a little bit, so that we can go completely with the script editor. As I said, the first option is the data manager. Data manager, the word itself is indicating where you're going to manage your data. All right. So first thing is, as I don't know how to load the data here, I can see get started adding data to your app. So there is an option where you can just drag and drop your Excel files. Okay, let me go to my Excel file, just the way you do a drag and drop in your Windows Explorer systems. So I'll go for the desktop. I'll go for my QS. There is something called sales records. Let me simply drag and drop it here. I'm just dragging and dropping here. I'm not using any steps here. I'm not using any SOP, any following any hard and fast rules here, how to load the data, simply blindly dragging and dropping. So once the data is loaded, okay, it start getting loaded now. It is trying to understand the entire data set by the Qlik engine. So it is preparing the data now. You can see very quickly the data is trying to load. Your data is now loading, and also it will try to show you the how much time I'm spending in order to load your data what you provided me. That is what it is trying to tell me. And this is an interface which I'm trying to see for the first time actually, because if you look at in the developer option, licensed version, okay, enterprise version, let me say that way, enterprise version, you'll not have these two options here. You'll have only one option, go to sheet or close. But here I'm able to see, you want to create insights, you want to go to a sheets. At this moment, I don't want to do anything. I just want to close it because I want to control my urge in creating this graph. I want to understand the data. So once I close that particular first dialog box, this is the interface what I'm going to see. As I said, when you drag and drop, you are talking about a data manager. You can see at the top, it is talking about data manager. This is a sheet, nothing but when you want to move to a sheet. This is talking about storytelling. Of course, that's a last topic of once you are able to, you are comfortable about the click sense, you can talk about a storytelling. So here it looks very fantastic. Actually, I can say it's showing sales record. What is sales record actually? Sales record is typically the file name. Okay, the file name which is trying to show in the bubble shape here, and it is trying to show a snapshot of your data, how the data is going to look. Okay, we have a region, we have a country, we have item type, we have something called sales channel, order date, order ID, unit sold, unit price. So it is trying to show you what kind of data you are trying to load into my Qliksense server now. All right, so that is what at the bottom it is trying to tell you. When I try to or click on this option, if you, I don't know what is this option, when you place your mouse pointer, it is trying to tell you just edit it. Okay, there is something here, two arrows, I don't know, just let me place my mouse pointer. It is trying to tell you if you want to refresh this particular table. Anytime if you want to delete, if this is not the table what you're looking for, you can straight away delete it. And there are other options which will try to tell you details. Details is nothing but what data you loaded, what data you loaded, and what is the name of your file. That's it. So we don't have much options here. It is just trying to tell you if you want to edit. So what is edit actually? Before we go for this bottom line options, let's try to understand the other interface options available here. I can see this open hub, nothing but this is something very familiar to me. When I click on this, I understood, totally agree that it will take me to the home page. Home page where I have all the apps which is developed by someone, or it's me. I have all the typical dashboards. So the second option plays a very important role here. It's basically talking about navigations. Navigations in the sense, which window you want to move once you've done the job in this particular environment. So when I click on that, there is something called add data. Okay, no need to use that one. You can go for a here also plus symbol, add data. What I noticed, especially in Qliksense, is to do every action, we have two options here. Either you can do the way you work with Excel, probably you have a shortcut keys, you have you can go from the menu bar. So we have typically two cases here. That is, if I want to add a data, I can add data. What is add data? I already added data here. Might be you are interested to add one more data source from your SQL server, from your Access data, from your Excel, from your Notepad, from DAT files. It could be any source. It doesn't mean Qliksense will, once it is accepted Excel, it will only work on Excel. No. A single dashboard can be connected to a SQL server. Okay, MS Access, it's again a database. We have an Excel, okay, spreadsheet activity. We have a Notepad. So your data can be stored anywhere. I don't know where it is stored because it depends upon the organization where they are typically trying to store this information. If it is huge millions of data, probably they are storing in the databases. If it is a simple data with one or two thousands of raw data, might be they are storing in Excel. Sometimes the data also can be stored in Notepad. So whatever the data source you are getting, we cannot put a restriction. I cannot accept it. Doesn't matter, because whatever the source, your Qliksense is ready to accept that. So when you want to add a data, you can click on here. I'm not clicking because I want to understand more about this environment by looking at very first a bubble here. I can call it as a bubble. You can say circle. This bubble showing I am a table with all these columns. Okay, fantastic. Now at the right side, there are a few things here to understand. I can go to the home. Okay, zoom to the fit all the tables. If you have multiple tables, I cannot show you right now because you don't have multiple tables, only one table. This is typically zoom in and zoom out. And here, recommendations. Recommendations. There is a typical word used in BI technology, which I want you to understand. Associations. Associations is nothing but joining. Okay, we always try to join tables. Now the question is, why do you join a tables? So that is more or less joins is nothing but whenever you're learning something, MS Access, SQL Server, if you're learning any relational database management system, we'll use very often joining, joining the tables. Now still I don't understand why people try to join tables. Why do we need to join a tables? Why can't we have all the information in a single table rather than having multiple tables and later on joining them? Yes, of course, we need to join the tables because we can't expect the data which is stored or what do you call, download it from the different system, and obviously that data is stored in a different level of system technically. For example, HR data, probably they're using SQL Server. Marketing people, probably they're using a simple MS Access database. Some other department might be using Excel. So as a developer, you are asked to create a dashboard based on these data sources. And obviously you need to make them to talk to each other. And what is the only source available is joining them in the sense, let me take a simple example so that you can understand. Actually, this topic is not the part of Qliksense. It is a upcoming course called SQL. Might be you heard. SQL stands for Structured Query Language, uh, where it is a query language. It's not a programming language. Query language is nothing but asking a database a question. Okay. You have millions, trillions of data in your database, and you are asking a question. Can you please tell me the total count of the employees in the company? So you're writing in the form of a query. That query goes to the database, and database will give you an answer. Okay. Sometimes you want to know what is the average sales you have done for a particular month. You are trying to make your query complicated. You have data from since 2000 to 2020, 10 years of data, but you are looking for a particular month data. So that means you are going to customize your question to the database, asking, can you please tell me the total sales done for a particular month? So you're trying to ask more specifically the question to the database in order to get the right results. So that's a SQL. Again, we require a lot of time to understand it. But however, I think it's the best to understand how the join works, because I strongly feel that like without having that kind of idea, we cannot go further again. It requires. So let me do one thing. Uh, Let me go for simply paint based show. Yeah. Guys, it's out of case topic, but however, if you understand, it's well and good, because this is a most common interview question. So let's try to understand this as a simple terms. It is very simple terms. Okay, let's take this example. You go to a school, and teacher keep the records of your name, student ID, attendance in a simple notebook. All right. So whenever you go to a school, or the teacher keeps the records, your name, student ID, which class you are, okay, and attendance in a notebook. Now the teacher one day decided that the register should also contain the birthdays of each student in her class, so that she can wish them when the day arrives, basically. Okay, typically she want to collect every student birthdays, so that they can, she or anyone can wish them on particular day. Now, what I'm trying to say here, this information is another document, right? In the school records. It is not in the same notebook, or in the same database, or in the not in the same Excel. In one notebook, we have the complete information about the student. Now, today only we decided, let's collect the birthdays, or sorry, not anniversaries, but birthdays. Typically, birthdays you want to collect for every student and put it in separate notebook. Now, the question is, I want to understand from this particular notebook, which student celebrating birthday on this month or in this day. I need to go to that book. Nothing but I'm trying to say, I want to ensure these two notebooks are talking to each other based on certain keyword. What is the keyword? Maybe every employee will have a PeopleSoft ID or employee ID. Okay. And every journal entry will have general ID. Okay. uh, what all you can say, employee ID, PeopleSoft ID, or student ID, employee ID, whatever like IDs. So in every two books or three books or four books, you are going to have one common key column called ID, which will try to talk to that particular table and get the required information for you. So based on the student ID, she goes to that particular document and fill our notebook with the required information. This is a best example of a join actually. Typically, this is a best example of a join. I repeat, we have a notebook where we have the complete information about the student. Again, I opened a new book in which I'm just trying to make student ID and his birthday date, student ID, date of birth. So I don't have the complete information in this apart from only birthday. So I want to see this student, XYZ student, studying in third class or second class, when he's celebrating his birthday. So in which class he's studying, that information is having in the first table. When he is celebrating birthday, we are having the data in the second table. So when you want to get the complete record of a student or employee, we need to make these two tables to talk to each other. All right. So as we are just talking about joinings here, okay, join it does basically most of the time in the relational database management system, but your BI tools also allows you to join some tables here. So again, the question keep coming to the mind, why we need to join. We understood with the school example, basic example, trying to understand why we need a joins. As I said, most of the time, whether you're working in a small organization or a very big organization, most of the times one table does not contain all the data need for your analyzing the problem. Whatever the problem you want to analyze, whether it's a simple, complex, you can never ever expect the data will be in a single table. You always have multiple tables and we need to join them. You might have to look into other tables to find other fields that you need in order to talk to them. The primary way is only you can achieve this by joining. That's it. There's no other way. We need to join them, and we have some four types of commonly used joins. There are almost like 12 plus joins, but the four most commonly used, out of which I am using in my live environment only two. The most commonly used is only two, but we the most of them are used like four. There are but 12. So if you know four, that's more than enough for joining the tables. So let me try to give the graphical presentation which I generally used to do with the SQL queries. Let me take a circle here. The first type of is join which I'm going to talk about. There are I don't know how many remember there is something called Venn diagrams in our mathematics in school.
Yes, yes.
I don't know if I yeah. So this is a Venn diagram where you can see the first one talking about a type of a join. This type of a join called as inner join. Okay, this is called as an inner join, whereas whereas we are trying to join two things, two tables. Let's assume this is your A table, okay, and this is your B table. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to join two tables by using a join called inner join. How to use a syntactically, we try to understand later, but here I'm trying to understand only the graphical presentation so that I can really keep in mind so that later on we can really use it. So what happens here is basically, let me see if I can put some color here. Yes, I'm able to do it. All right. So you can see there are two circles typically. One is A table and one is B table. The dark portion, it is trying to tell you they are joined, and this is what I'm trying to get the information from the both the tables. From the both the tables. That is basically the inner table always try to get the matching records from the both the tables, A table, B table. So by using the inner table, inner join, it is trying to get the most common fields or records from the both the tables. That is what inner join says. An inner join returns the view with the results set that is common between all those involved tables. I'm talking about two tables here. Probably you might be using 10 tables tomorrow. All those 10 tables common fields are going to be shown as one view. That is what your inner table is all about. Let's see what is the second option available. There is one more option available. There is a second type of what do you call type of join. When you look at this one, this Venn diagram also looks same, but I want to understand what is the difference here. Let me put a name here that is let's say you can say full join, or you can say outer join. So you can say either full join or outer join, doesn't matter how you pronounce it, how you say it, both are same here. Okay. So in this case, what happens is, once I fill the color, you'll understand what I mean. That's it. So what I mean to say is, there is a table called A, there is a table called B. It is trying to so All right. So in this full or outer join, this is the inner join, the first type what you have seen. The second type is called as full join or outer join. A full outer join retains all the data from all the involved tables. That means I'm talking about two tables. It could be 10 tables tomorrow. All the involved tables, regardless whether they have matching values or not, they will try to join both the tables. It's going to join full. It doesn't matter whether records are matched or not. Okay, this is one of the rarely used kind of a type of joining because we doesn't want whether they are matching or not, and we are trying to get from A and B table doesn't make any sense. That's what I feel. And full join is not in popular because we don't use it actually. So inner join is the most common one, and the second, third is also important, which I'm going to talk about. Third and fourth, sorry, third and fourth one. So let's see the next one. I hope you understood what I mean outer join or full join. You try to get the records from the both the tables irrespective whether they are matching or not matching, doesn't matter. Get all the information and put it in one table. That is what the full outer join says. So let's see the next one. That is your what happened. Okay, this is the next diagram where we have the same style. Now in this case I'm talking about, let me put this as left join. Let me fill the color so that you'll get an idea what I'm trying to say. I'll take this drop. All right. So this is a left join. Let me create the circle so that I can spend time on explaining them. This is one. This is your second one. And here I want to fill the color with this and this. Let me say this is a right join. So we have four types here, which are most commonly used. As I said, the first one, inner join, try to get only matching records from the both the tables, that is A and B. Here I'm not specific about which table, I'm just saying A and B. In the second case, full join, try to get whether irrespective of whether the records are matching or not, it will try to get all the records from both the tables. The third one is A table and B table. So left join always says I am a table, and if I have any records from the B table, I'll try and get and try to merge in the A table. That is what your left join is all about. You can see the color is filled completely. That means the A table try to see is there any matching records from the right table, that is from your B table, and get all matching records into A table. That is what your left join. The same reverse to right join. Right join, what it does is it will try to see is there any matching records from the A table and get those matching records into the B table. So this is completely opposite. Left, right. This is inner join. This is a full join. So hope you understood. Let me just give me very quickly again. Your inner join returns a view with the results set that is common between all the involved tables. That is your inner join. Your full join basically returns all the data from all the involved tables, whatever A, B, C, D tables, regardless of whether they have the matching values or not, to join the condition. All right, but this is a one of the rarely used as we never we never usually need all the key value from both the tables. We never have that situation. We want to get all the records from A and B. We'll never try to have that situation. But if you look at the left one, which is most commonly preferred in BI tool, because we always want to join from A table to B table. So that means whenever I say left join, it will try to see from the right table, do I have any matching records? Then if it is matching, it will try and get into the A table merged. Just opposite to left join, that is your right join. Right join always do get the matching records from the A table and try to put it in the B table. So this is basically the types of joins what you are trying to refer in any relational database management system. That's how we try to join the tables. And here, again, I repeat, we always try to join the tables because we have the sources from we have a different sources. Every organization try to store their information in a different format. It's not going to be the same. If I take about my organization example, it will not work because your organization may not follow that one. If a small organization may not use that typically SQL server or something, they might be using Access. You need to keep only one thing in the mind, irrespective of your data source. When you want them to talk to each other, the only way is joining the tables. That is with the four types. I recommend, if you know left join, inner join, that's more than enough for any BI technologies. There is no need to learn all, provided if you're working in SQL extensively as a SQL developer, you need to understand all the types. It's must, because there you are writing different procedures. That's a different story. Again, different procedures in SQL. Then you need to learn all these things, but you can restrict yourself concentrating on inner join and left join. That's more than enough. All right, guys, having seen the four types of joins, now it's our choice. It's not even our choice, actually. We need to think about the data. We need to take the right decision. Shall I go for an inner join? Shall I go for a full join? Shall I go for a left join? Shall I go for a right join? So we have a four types of join as discussed, but it's not your choice always. It's always a business requirement. You need to understand the data so well from the A table, B table, what type of join I can use so that I can join them and to get the final view as a single table, which you can really connect to your Qliksense and start creating the presentation. So as I said, in this particular screen, I can, if I want to learn something, that is the only one thing I can see, one bubble which is just sliding here and there, that is sales record. Sales record is nothing but the table which I loaded, so I'm not surprised yet. At the bottom, if you see, it is trying to tell you what are the different columns we have. So it's kind of a sanity check. Do I have all the columns what I have in my Excel? It's kind of a sanity check, nothing else. Uh, it will always do the right job. Qliksense, it will can never go wrong. That means if you have 100 columns, it will try to load, not try to, it will load definitely 100 columns without fail. But it's just a sanity check, because as a human, we always have a thought whether it's done the complete job or not. So we want to check whether we have all the columns or not here. That's it. It's also mentioning, boss, you have 8 fields in this. Are you good? Okay. So at the right side, okay, this word has made us to talk about joins, that is associations. So whenever you talk about BA technologies, we cannot use the word buzzword called joins. Rather, here the terminology is a little different. We need to use the term called associations. Associations is nothing but what are the common fields in the two tables which can talk to each other. Okay, the school example, what I told, one notebook is having the complete student information. The second notebook has other information of a student. In the both the notebooks, there is a common field called PSID, employee ID, student ID, whatever it may be. There is a common field through which we are going to link up these two tables so that they can talk to each other forever, and easily I can get the record. From the A table, I can get what is the ID of the student, what is the name, which class he's studying, and from the second table, I can easily get when he's celebrating his birthday. Otherwise, you can never get this information without joining them. So that's the advantage of joining. We have seen the four types. And here in the Qliksense, we are going to call this as associations. Right now, Qliksense is so intelligent here. It plays a very important role. Uh, as I haven't seen the data, I have a sales records, I have order details, I have employee information. Without looking at the data, I don't know which column can be associated, which column can be joined. Both are the same words here, association or joining. Which common key can be really helpful to join them. If I don't know, don't worry, because your Qliksense is going to give you some recommendations here. What does that recommendations mean? It is going to tell you in every step of your creating dashboard, boss, you can join these two columns. Are you interested? If so, click on apply all. Okay, it is telling you there is a table one, so there's no question of joining here. I didn't added any other table so that I can join them, right? So we don't have any other table. We'll go to that level of understanding when you have two tables, what to do. But here first, once we are comfortable with this environment, there is no need to come back here again to understand what it is. So here it is trying to tell me there is a sales record. Here it is telling me you are in the association mode. That means you are in a position to uh, join the tables. I have one more bubble here, one more bubble. We have five bubbles. Assume that you have a five bubbles. That means typically you are trying to tell to the ClickSense trying to tell to the ClickSense that you have five tables loaded into your ClickSense. So right now only one table. Let's go with it. Understand thoroughly. When I'm loading the second table, you'll not have any surprises. So let's try to take a lot of break here to understand this one. So association. After that, there is some second button which I've seen even in enterprise version. When I click on this table view, it is going to show me all the tables in this particular pan. This is a simple canvas which is grayed out, showing me this is the table what you have, and its name is sales record.csv. It's a CSV, XLSB, XLSX, whatever it is, just trying to tell you the extension. All right. So, however, at this moment, I did a smart work. Just I dragged and dropped a file, and it's trying to tell me that you have a one table. What if I want to drag one more table? Yes, I can do that. If I want to drag another table, I can drag it. You can drag as many files you want, depends upon your requirement. But if you don't want to drag, you want to just add a table, you can also add a data from here. If you're not interested, you can go for the second option. Third option I can say, one is drag and drop. Second is by clicking on this plus button. Third one is by saying add data. So once again, when you click on double click on your table, again I'm going to see the complete information about this table. That means don't be surprised when you look at some graphs at the bottom, because I'm still not created any graphs, but it's trying to tell you some graphical presentation at the bottom. Okay, we'll come to that one, but let me go from the starting point again. The first one, it is telling me it is a region. This is a country. This is an item number, something item type, sales, order date, order ID, unit sold, unit price. So I have a lot of information here which can help me to create my visualization. So however, what it is trying to show me in the form of graph, the orange color, what it is showing me, this particular column is currently selected. Is that so? Let me select the second one then. The second tape, now it is telling me you selected the second column, the country column. That is what it is telling me. Okay, I'm in the country column now. So actually, whatever I learned till the second week, I understood like you need to create the graphs in the sheets, but I'm not in the sheet environment, but still there is a graph it is showing. So this is not actually graph. This is simply it's trying to tell you what kind of data you are holding in your data, what kind of data information you have in your data, trying to show in a graphical presentation. And this is not the actual graph for your dashboard. This is only a snapshot of that particular column. For example, if I click on this region, it is trying to tell me how many distinct values are there. There is 7 distinct value, and the total values you have 1000. That means in my table I have 1000 records, out of which distinct value, distinct in the sense unique values. So it's a region. So we have a 7 regions: Asia, okay, we have USA, UK, MENAT, nothing but Middle East. You have Canada, we have something called Africa. We have 7 out of 1000 records. At a single flash of looking at the screen, I'm able to take the decision that I have a distinct 7 values, and it is trying to show you in a graphical presentation here. One is Middle East, one is North America, one is Asia, one is Africa, Europe, Central America, and Australia. I don't know why Australia is a region. No, it's not a region, but showing in the region column, it's fine. So we have totally 7 unique values here, which is trying to show in a graphic presentation. But this is not the graph which we are going to use in our dashboard. Only graphical presentation about your data. When I click on a country, also I want to see what does this country mean. Country, we have 186 countries which are unique out of 1000 values. So don't look at the graph, just to trying to give an information for you. That's it. When I look at the item body, when I look at item type, when I look at the sales channel, it's telling you you have only 2 distinct values. Sales channel is nothing but whether you're doing the sales offline or online. It is trying to show me 520 records which are trying to show offline, and 480 sales records which are trying to show you online. So that means my business is, I'm able to do my business. Okay, sales offline something 520 and online something 480. So looking at this particular graph, I'm able to easily understand, but this is not the final graph. I keep insisting this is not a graph. It is just trying to tell you kind of sanity check what you're trying to do here. All right, so that's how we are trying to do the some sanity check about your data. This is a completely data manager, and if I want to do any data transformation, I'm not really writing any script. I'm just doing drag and drop. Let's assume you want to change the name of a column. Okay, here I have something called region, but let me see what is this lines talk about. When I click on this, it's trying to tell me you want to rename, you want to sort it, you want to view the details, or you want to hide in the analysis. That means, don't you want this column? You can straight away hide it. That means you have typically 100 columns in your table. Out of 100, the most important columns you feel there are only two or three, so you can hide all the columns, unnecessary columns, so that the performance can really improve. To improve your performance, don't try to delete the columns. See which is important and which is not important. Sometimes 100 are going to be important for your dashboard. Sometimes it's not really required, right? So we have this options for every column I can see here. And if I want to rename, not really go from here. It's 2 clicks you are doing. Rather, you just double click here and say, instead of region, you want to say something called region name. Let's assume I didn't like that particular column name. I want to change it. So if you want to change the country, let's say country underscore name. So very simple column names I'm able to change. Okay. And please do remember, whatever the transformations which you are doing to the data which is loaded into the Qlik Sense, but not to the data which is there in the Excel. You just dragged and drop, your job is done. Whatever the modifications you are doing, you are not doing to the Excel, rather you are trying to do for your data which is loaded into the Qliksense. I repeat, whatever the transformations you are doing, it will not have any impact on your data which is sitting in the Excel, SQL Server, MS Access, whatever. The impact will be only in the Qlik Sense, because you're not liking the name, or you want to give a better name so that the user can easily understand. So that's how easily I'm able to do it. But something which is real interesting here, all names are looking at the top. If you look, everything is grayed out. Okay, this is my selection, that's why it's showing in orange. I'm not surprised. But something which is looking very interesting here, when you look at this globe, we need to understand something. This is a geo data, geographical information data. That means it's a country's information, right? So with a ClickSense could able to easily understand this column. Based on this column, you can create a maps on your dashboard. It is identified this particular column as geodata. Geodata is nothing but graphical uh, geographical information. All right. So if you look at the item type, it's not a graphical geographical information. Sales, no. But if you look at the data, one more kind of icon I can see at the top. These are the common types of things. What you can see for the date, you will always see at the top something like this. Okay, looks like a calendar icon, and this looks like a globe. Nothing but it is saying it is a geographical data, and this is telling you this is a date calendar type of icon which you can see on the grayed out cell. That means this particular column, entire column, is related to a date information. I don't have any other column which is talking about the date, only one column which is a order date. So in this one, it is identified this as a date format. So ClickSense is already identified. So there is no need to change any data formats here. We'll see, try to do some modifications in the load script, not here, because this is a very easy one. If I want to change the name, I simply clicked on this and I've changed it. If I want to, okay, if I want to change column to here, I can simply drag and drop. What happened? My All right, you can just change the changing of these columns from, if you want the unit price to be shown at the first level, you can show. If you want the region name to be shown at the last column, you can show. So that means you can change anytime. And what more is attracting me on this particular screen right now? I've seen the table with all the columns information. At the bottom, I can see a graphical presentation of this particular each column information. And second one, which is again showing me, if I click on this one, it is trying to show me on the second table, we have these informations, like we have this particular unique information what we have out of 1,000 records. It says select the values to be replaced you can use up to 99 replacement values. That means when you click on this, okay, you will get replacement. That means you want to change a Middle East to some something different. Okay, Middle East region, you want to say a complete name or something, Middle East region. So anytime, if you want, as you know, like Middle East is not a single word in this particular column. We have, it is like 1,000 records. We have probably Middle East been repeated like 50 or 100 times. If you want to change entire Middle East to Middle East region particularly, you can simply rename, replace by using this option. That means you are trying to do a lot of data massaging here. You can also set nulls, if at all, if you have any data which is related to nulls, you can set it. You can also put an order. Okay, right now it is it is trying to tell me this is this order. You can change the interface here. That is, I want the order to be like this. Whenever the data is loading, I want to show always Asia to be on the top. What happens typically in Excel or any environment, the way the data is there, it will show. Okay, when you forcefully say A to Z, it will start, it will try to order the data from alphabets, that is A to Z. Okay, if you say descending order, it will try to make it the data from Z to A. But what happens when somebody says Asia being a big market, can you make it at the top? Okay, I can do it. But Middle East, not Middle East is also is the second largest market for me. Can you put it as a second one? Yes, I can put it. So whatever the format you want to do it here itself, because when you try to make it ascending to descending, Middle East will not come here. So that's how it works. So you never try to use ascending or descending. If your company is okay with that, if the dashboard requirement is like try to put A to Z, the after Asia, we are supposed to get Australia. After Australia, you are supposed to get Central America. So you can put the order you want at this moment only. You can set it if you want, or you can with the script also you can change. Okay, so these are the different options what you have. You can also reorder. That is what I was trying to do here. That reorder also, it is trying to show me on the graph how it is gonna look like. For example, if I change Middle East to somewhere after the 6, even the graph should also change, showing that like Asia at the first stage, North America second one. I'm not liking it because Europe is playing a very important role here. Let me keep the Europe at the second place because it's one of the largest market. That's what I feel. Let me keep Europe at the top. So that's how it works. Like we are trying to arrange the regions as per the business requirement. That's all. We are talking about a data manager. Much longer, I can say. At the right, at the top, you can see again association. That means if you want to go back to the association again, you can go back. This is a table format which is highlighted now. If I click on association, we'll again go back to the association mode. Nothing but where you want to join the tables. Again, I'm not in a position to join the tables because I don't have any other table here. So I want to be the mastery of the one table so that I can be confident about the second table. And instantly, whatever the changes I've done to my data, you can see here, region name is showing, country underscore name it is showing. That means the transformation, a simple transformation, what I've done, I'm able to see that. Now, once you drag and drop, that doesn't mean that the data is really sitting in your Qlik. It is not really ready. It is just showing you the preview. So that means what? The data is not available to my dashboard to create? No, it's not really available actually. It is just showing you the preview. So what makes exactly the data really should show into my Qlik? You need to click on the load data. Please do remember guys, if you're using a Word document, PowerPoint, MS Excel, whatever the application you use, whenever you do some editing, you need to save it, right? So in Qliksense, you can, it's not a right word to say load data is like save, but load data is nothing but whatever the changes you are trying to do, structural changes or data changes, transformations you are doing for your data, you are trying to save it. You are trying to make those changes permanently by clicking on load data. So once you click on load data, what happens is the data will start loading into your Qlik forever. Of course, you can delete anytime, you can edit anytime, but why I'm saying permanently, because in this app, I want this table at any cost. So I just your data is loading. Okay, earlier also it was showing your data is loading, but it was just loading the data, but now the data is really sitting in your Qlik. So that means every time you need to click on the load data. So here either you can go to the insights, as I said, quickly you can create the graphical presentation by using the Qlik Sense. The second one is going to the sheet so that you can create a sheet for this. So let me go to the sheet and see how my columns are looking like, because I'm excited to see my columns. So once you click on this particular sheet, you are going to land into this particular screen. So this screen, it's not that new to for us, because in the last week session, we have really thoroughly checked what each element mean. We have something called field, master item, we have something called charts, we have a custom objects. Now my more excitement is for the fields. Did I get all the fields what I want here? Yes, country name, item type, order date, order ID, region name, sales information, unit price, unit sold. So here I want to really make sure, and very, very important, very not so easy to understand actually, one typical part here, I want to make it very easy for you. If you look at the order date actually, do you have any column which says a January month or month name, for example, not January month? Do we have any column which says Jan, Feb, March, April, May? No. Do you have any column which says 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18? No. Do you have any column which says this is quarter, this is second quarter, this is third quarter? No. I don't have any such columns in my data, but your Qliksense is so smart in understanding your data, that order date. This is what the data which I loaded into my Qlik now. I have only one column called order date, but when you look at your Qliksense, when you click on this order date, what I'm going to see? You are going to see year, quarter, month, year, month, week, date. You have all those options which you can start using it. Wonderful. That means my order date, I was thinking the data, the way I loaded into my Qliksense, it will show only date only, but the date is being now segregated into different styles of formats. One is only year, because you maybe have a requirement of creating a graph with only years, only year. That is typically four numbers, 2020, 2021, that's it. I don't want the entire date. Sometimes there may be a requirement where you want to show a month name, January, February, March, April, March. Okay. These month names when you want to show, so that means what? From your data, I should be in a position, I should have that good writing skills of script where I can divide this entire date into three columns. One is day, month, year, month name, quarter name. I need to just imagine how many columns I have to create, but I'm not doing anything. Everything is managed by your Qliksense. It's trying to show me how many weeks, week ago, week reference number, interval, workdays, month referral. Okay, we have a quarter ago, years ago. Okay, we have everything here which is already created by this. So if you look at this entire data set, two things are really, really attractive here. One is country, one is date. Why attractive? Because the country is being identified as a geographical information by the Qliksense. And when you look at the order, order date or any date, birth date, anything which is related to date, then it is considered as a data format which is identified by your Qliksense itself. I never told my Qliksense is a date, but it's understood. I'm not even changing any formats. I'm not even telling my Qliksense, can you please divide this order date into month, day, year, week, hour, time? No, no, no. I'm not telling anything. It's doing everything its own. Excellent. From till here, I could be able to understand, but still what is worrying me is, so far it's good. I dragged and dropped. I could able to do I can able to see the data manager level, how the data looks like, what is the distinct value, if I want to replace or if I want to order, I can do a lot of things there. But where actually my data is sitting, can I see the data where the script is written? Can I see that script? Have you written that script? No, because the Qliksense had itself written a script for you. Something like in the Excel VBA automation, we use a recorder. When you record the actions, you are not actually writing any code. You are telling your computer, can you start writing code for me? That's how here it is trying to record the actions. I just made country into country name. It might have recorded behind the scenes a script from country to country name. From the behind the scenes, it might have written order as order date or country region as a region name. Now, this is the right time to get into this editor and see how the script is written. All right, we have seen the data manager, the way we have to work. Typically, I have a one particular file called sales order, which smartly I could able to drag and drop without much any using any further steps. All right. So what I want to do now, I want to understand. However, I'm able to see all the fields here, but related to this field where the information is sitting, where the data actually is being scripted or recorded by the Qliksense engine. If I'm writing manually, I would have known, but I'm not written anything as such. But how the Qliksense is written on its own, let's try to understand. But from here, how should I navigate to that particular location? There are three ways here. Okay, three concepts which is trying to tell you. If you right now you are currently in the sheet environment where you can start creating based on these columns. One some graphs here which you haven't seen anyway. This is the data manager. This is a data storytelling. I'm just completely parking data storytelling. When I'm clicking on this data, now this is highlighted. That means I can go to data load manager where I can see the tables which I've loaded. At the same the by default, when you click on data manager, this is what the view you get. But if you want to go to the data load editor, okay, what the data load editor says is I will show you where exactly the data is sitting, how the script is written. Okay, let's get into this particular data load editor and see in action how this script is written by Qliksense engine. Okay, once I click on this, I'll try to explain each and every step how it looks like. Don't get confused. A lot of script is written here. Okay. So I just came from this location, data manager. We have a data load editor. Currently, I'm in the data load editor. So that's why this particular data load editor is disabled. And this is still enabled because still you have an option to go back to a data manager. If I want to go back to a sheet again, I can click on here to see my visualization. If I want to do any edit in my data, you can go to a data manager or data load editor script. Data load editor script is the location where you are going to sit and write manually everything. But however, the same editor being also used by data manager to show you whatever the transformations or whatever the data you loaded. Let me get into this data load editor again to see what are the different windows currently we have. Let's not master of everything here. First, I want to understand what are these panels showing here. If you understand, it will be easy for you to shuffle between different windows and start working very easily. All right.
So, Shravan, how did you get this data load editor? Because we have sheet and
All right. Now we just reached to the main landing page where I have the complete associated apps. Currently, I'm working in the first app called updated 39 minutes back. So the time also it's showing. I'm just clicking on this app. The moment I click on this app, initially when I'm creating for the first time, it was asking me, can you load the data? Now it will not ask me because the data is already loaded. That is, whatever the way, whether you're written, whether you're dragged and dropped, or whatever the fashion you used. Okay, so you have just clicked on the app and it is started showing. So is just trying to show you the interface where you can start building your dashboards. Now I'm so curious because I just dragged and drop. I want to see what the script it has written because it is not written by me. I want to understand where the script is written, where the script can be seen. So for that, we need to click on the data load editor. We have seen already the data manager. You need to click on the data load editor. Once you click on that, it will take you to another screen where the script is written. Okay, where the script is written. By default, by default, there are three panels here, which I can see clearly. Left panel, right panel, there is a center panel. This is a center panel where you are going to write your script. This is basically called as an editor, where you are going to write your script. Currently, I don't know how to write. Let's leave it. Let's go to the second part here. First part. In the first part, it is telling me completely grayed out color, telling me this is a main section. This is one section called main section. When I click on the second one, it is telling me this is auto generated section. Auto generated section in the sense, whatever the stuff you are trying to do with the data manager, it is written a script behind the scenes. It has written a script behind the scenes. It has written some for loop. It has written, it is also telling what is your table name. Okay, what is your table name, and what are the columns you brought into this particular Qliksense environment, and the region you have also changed the name to region name, country you have changed to country name. It is telling you all those transformations which you have done, not written by me again, it is written by the Qliksense engine. One important thing to be noticed here, as it is graphically done, not written manually, this section, this editor, it is being locked. By whom? By the Qliksense itself. Because if you try to do any editing in this location, if you are good at scripting and you want to edit this, the synchronization will lose. If you start doing any editing part here, the synchronization will lose. What I mean, right now I want to do some editing here, I'm not able to do because you can see there is an option called locked. Here also you can see an option called locked. That means it is completely locked for the user to edit. But however, if you want to edit the code, if you know how to edit, yes, you can go ahead and do it. But before doing the edit, please do remember only one thing in the mind. You are trying to edit the code which is written by the Qliksense. So whatever the change you will do, it will stop synchronizing the changes you have done. That means, for example, I did some edits in this. Again, I went to data manager. I did some formattings. What it will do is it will try to create one more auto generated section. It will try to show you the new code. So you will lose that connection between these sections because it is being loaded the data through the data manager, but not through the load script. Now let me unlock for time being and see what happens. I just clicked on unlock. Now this is ready for me to edit. For instance, I want to change this item type as, what is as keyword here? If you know SQL Server or SQL queries, what happens is typically when you want to change any name and you want to give some nice name, you are going to use a keyword called as. In SQL queries, this is how you written. So if you're not liking item type name, you can say simply as item. So don't try to understand more anyway. While writing the script or in the load script, I'm going to teach you step by step, but this is how I just did a small change in my code. Now once I say click on load data, let's see what happens. I'm trying to load the data because I've done some cosmetic changes to my data. Once I click on that, it is going to tell you the step-by-step process, how the data is loaded. It is telling me the entire information. We have 1,000 records. Okay, the lines fetched is 32,984, and we have 1,000 records. Finally, it's fetched out of your raw data, and it is telling me there is no errors, finished successfully, and this particular interface is not getting closed actually. That is little surprising because there is an option called close when successfully finished. That means if my loading process is correctly loaded, don't show me this dialog box, just load it. But if you have errors, please show me. That is what it is saying. So let me click on this option and say close. If I try to load it again, I want to see whether that dialog box disappears or not. This dialog box trying to tell you, I'm trying to load the data. Please see the analysis. I'm trying to load 1,000 records. Now it is loaded. It's closed automatically. The reason is you clicked on the option, check if everything is fine with the raw data. Now, once this is done, I want to go to the data manager. Okay. I want to do certain modifications. Let's try to see if it is really applied. Now, here starts the problem. Where is my bubble? Where is my table? Nothing I can see here. The reason is you have done some changes to the script which is written by the Qliksense. So never try to edit the code which is written by the Qliksense. You will lose the synchronization. What I mean, you are not able to see anything on the screen right now. If you recap, just 15 minutes, 20 minutes back, I'm able to see a nice bubble saying that sales records. Bottom, I'm able to see all the data. Now I'm not able to see anything. However, the data is still there in your on your Qliksense, but I'm not able to do any further modifications because you have touched the script which is written by data manager or your Qliksense. Now, once you come to the screen, it is forever open. It is not showing a lock symbol here. That means this code is available for the editing. You can keep editing and keep loading and do the transformations. But if you want to do anything again with the data manager, it will be never possible in life. The reason is you lost that connection of helping your Qliksense to do that transformation by drag and drop. Drag and drop in the sense I want to rename, I want to use a calculated field, I want to do the ordering, sorting, I want to rename some options. I cannot do anything anymore now because I lost it. That is why never try to unlock which is written by the Qliksense. Now data is still there. If that is true, I should be able to see on my on my sheet. Let me see if I have the column still available or it left. So once I click on this, if I go to the fields section, if I go to the field section, I can still see all the fields are available. There's nothing wrong. Data is still there. But the only thing is I cannot do any further modifications because you yourself restricted by unlocking it. So before unlocking, ensure that never try to unlock it. Once you unlock it, you lose the power, the ability of using the data manager anymore. All right, you have seen in action how the auto-generated section which was locked by Qliksense and you're trying to edit by unlocking it. Whenever you try to unlock and edit some transformation on when you're trying to do on your own, that means still your data is lying in your Qliksense, still you can create the visualizations, but you lose the power, the capability of using data manager, which is quite easy to drag and drop and do the modifications. You lose that, which you have seen in practically in action. When I click on data manager, it is not at all responding. It is not talking to me anymore. It was talking to me earlier, showing me this is bubble, these are the colors what you have, tell me what I can do for you. It is not even asking me any question now because we lost that power or capability of data manager. Database is completely empty now. You cannot do anything. Now, once you go to the data load editor, as I said, the left one parameters, we have the first block panel, rather, we have main section. Every dashboard, irrespective whether you load the data or not, you will have this main section. Let me understand this section, what this section is. When you click on this section, it is telling me this is what I have in this section. When I click on this one, it is telling me this is what I have in this section. Tomorrow, you may have some hundreds of sections here, depends upon the project complexity. Right now, I have only two, but however, whether you are interested or not interested, you will be having the main section by default. What does that mean? Do I need to have this script which is already there in the Qliksense? No, you can delete it, doesn't matter. But however, Qliksense is providing you the capability or the power of using these script, which is already predefined in the Qliksense server. So you can see what it is referring. If you want to understand simply, the time date format should be month, day, year. So that means whenever you load the data, always it will treat your date as month, day, and year. If you want to change, you can change here the way you want. If you want to say D, and here if you want to say M, your data will be always treated as day, month, year rather than month, day, and year. So that means you can change it. And sometimes I require Jan to be spelled as January rather than Jan. Sometimes I want Feb as February. So you can use this variables. This is called as a variables, which is already created by the Qliksense for you. That means whenever you use this function called month name, you can make use of this already written by the Qliksense. That means you have functions in your Excel formulas we have. For example, sum. What does sum does? It will try to sum the number of values what you have given. If you use this function called month name and you put a date, and it will show you that month falls under which month, that is going to spell out like Jan, Feb, March, April. But if you want a longer name, you can use this long month name like Jan month. If you want to day name, for example, if you want to create your own, you can also create, but you can also make use of this predefined functions which is already available in the ClickSense. It is also telling you day name how you can use Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you want more explicitly, you can use that. You can also use like Monday, Tuesday, a complete full name of that day. You can also have a numerical abbreviations here. 3K, nothing but 3000, 6M, nothing but a million, G, T. We have some different letters associated with the numbers, which you can understand easily. So what I want to say is this is more or less, these are the variables which are predefined. Now the question is, do I need to have this? No, delete it. Nobody will ask you anything because it is allowing you to make use of that. It's not required. So when I deleted, I don't even require this one also. I'm deleting that section. All right. So if I want to create my own section, tomorrow I'm going to write my own script to load the data. This is loaded by my system itself, my ClickSense itself. I've not done anything apart from just dragging and dropping the file into the ClickSense. So because of that reason, it has written so much of script here. If I'm writing my own script, how I'm going to write it, I'm going to click on this plus symbol. I'm going to write something called anything which you feel which is the right name here. I'm trying to say loading data from Excel. This is typically for me as a developer to understand what this section is all about. For example, if you just recap, those who know Excel VBA, I have different modules. Each module has its own name, which you can easily understand. This module does this one, this module does this one. Same way, here we have something called sections. Each section will have something. For example, I want to create one more section, loading data from Access. I'm giving my own names. There is no fast and hard rule here. How you want to spell out here data from SQL, maybe. Okay, I want to create one more loading data from big data, maybe. Okay, anytime you can change this section. These sections are basically you are telling what this section is going to have in future and what script you are going to write here. Right now, we don't know how to write the script, but this is a just introduction to this panel, how to use it. Whenever you click on this load data, what happens is how it works behind the scenes. Technically, let's try to understand. When I click on the load data, it will first check what is the first section. It will check what is the second section. It will check what is the load third section, fourth section, and it will try to load the data in the sequence only. If you think big data is very important for me, first, can you please load that data for me? Okay, you do one thing, just drag and drop it and keep it in the top. So that means whenever you're clicking on a load data, right now I don't have any data. Okay, of course we have auto-generated data here, which is created by our ClickSense. It is trying to load the data. I clicked on the option called close when successfully finished. So if I don't find any errors in loading data, it will close. If I have errors, it will stop and show you, and it will keep pressing you. Boss, there is an error. Can you please correct before I load the data? So this is how you can just change the order of the loading of data. Sometimes you feel this big data is very important. First, that data should be loaded because SQL is depend on that. If you keep this last, what happens is if you keep this as last, what happens is your SQL is depend upon big data, but big data is not yet loaded because it's coming in the sequence first, two, three, four, five. So always ensure that which supposed to be loaded first. But if you ask me a simple question, why you are creating so many sections and confusing yourself? Yes, I don't want to have that many sections actually, because I know how to work with the ClickSense. I know how to write the code. I'm an expert in this. Then have only one section, write the complete stuff in that. Load the data from Excel, don't load the data from your notepad, load the data from the big data, write entire story in one particular editor itself instead of having many sections here. But it's always advisable, not thumb rule or it's a golden rule. We need to have this many sections. No, if you're writing, that shows how professionally you are developing an app. You are separating each section and putting its corresponding development code in a separate window so that tomorrow when you are trying to debug it or you are doing some correction, you have some issue with your Excel data or SQL data, you are directly coming to this section and checking only SQL part, not the entire sections. So that's how I'm segregating my data into different sections so that I can easily do it. If I click on here, auto generated, I deleted. What does it mean? That means whatever the data I loaded just by dragging and drop by for fun, the data was there in my system. Now when I go to my data sheet, can I see that column still? Let me go to the fields and see the columns are still showing. What's going on actually? Let's try to understand. I've deleted the entire load script from here. Still, I'm able to see that columns still present on the sheet where it is asking me, can you create based on these columns graphs? Yes, I can create, but if you look at the editor, there is no script at all. What's happening? Because you deleted that particular section, but you haven't loaded. Once you loaded, that means you are trying to save the changes. You have deleted some section, you have not saved that changes. Once you commit that changes, okay, once you commit that changes, what happens is now it's telling it's loaded the data, but there's no data. Once you go to the sheet, you can see the columns have disappeared, might be. Yeah. So that means there's no columns now. That means whenever you do some changes, typically for your coding or script, any structural changes, whenever you do, always come back here and try to load the data so that you can get the latest update always from your Excel data. So this is what you have in the left side. That is your section. Sections, as I said, there is no hard rule. There is no golden rule. There is no procedure as such which we need to follow saying that we need to have this many sections. But I also always follow but it's always better to follow some sections so that as a developer it will be easy for you to convenient to edit your code anytime whenever you look back to your code after 1 year also you can easily look at your code without any issues. So this is your section part, which is quite easy. I don't see any complications in this. But the most important thing is this whiteboard, which you are seeing in the middle, which plays a very, very important role in writing the script. So this is a place where my interest is all about, because this is a place where I'm going to load the data. This is a place where I'm going to transform my data. And in the sheet section, that is meant for only creating a graphic presentations. I want you guys to be very well uh, very much you need to have a very clear understanding which section does what. If you are comfortable with that, rest of the things I can 100% take care. But if you don't know which section does what, then if you're just looking at the graphs, you'll not understand anything, because you need to understand what is data manager talks about, what data load editor does, when you drag and drop the file, how the script is written. And the script is written by, it's locked by default. If you unlock it, you have seen the consequences, it will not sync. So that is the first section. Second section is your load editor. And the third section is very, very important. It will tell you what happens is in the third section, as I said, like the first one is data manager, just dragging and dropping. But this is a section where it is telling you if you want to connect to any folder, if you have on your desktop or the shared drive, any business drive, you want to create a connection to that folder forever, and you want to pull the Excel files from there. We also see in a short while, but before that, try to see what is this panel looks like. It's saying personal, of course, it's my personal cloud environment. Search is nothing but if you have many connections here, you can see data files, nothing but I dragged and dropped, so I'm able to see the data files. Let's assume it's not there for now. The first option, it is showing a button called create a connection. That means whenever I want to load, okay, for the first time, I'm loading a January data. Next month, if I want to load, there should be a connection between you and that folder. There should be a connection between your Qlik Sense and to that Excel folder. Maybe you are loading only Excel files every month, then you should have a connection for Excel. If you are loading the data from SQL, there should be a separate connection to talk to SQL, so that the link will be established forever. As long as this dashboard is existing, the data will be in SQL. So when I click on new connection, let's see what happens. You are going to see a very different dialog box, which you have not seen so far. So on the first one, it is telling me select the data source. You want to get the data from the Amazon Web Services, Azure Storage, Dropbox, Google's Cloud Storage, Google Drive, OneDrive. Believe me, if you're working in a corporate world, you'll not have this one until unless if you're working in a Google Analytics. Okay, if I'm working in a banking domain, or if I'm working in marketing, you'll not be going into these options at all. Probably not even a Google Drive actually. In your corporate world, you will not use the Google Drives as a storage, right? So these are the different sources what we have as we discussed right from the demo point. It is trying to tell me what are the different options we have here. At this moment, unfortunately, being we are working on the cloud environment, I'm not able to create a connection with the folder. It has only one option called Google Drive. So that means I should have all my Excel files to be stored in Google Drive, then only I can access only for the cloud environment which you are working right now. Otherwise, you will be having a separate option called folder. Once you click on that folder, you can see all those Excel files to drag and drop into your environment. Right now, I don't have any files in my system in the Google Drive to drag and drop. So this is an option if I want to connect any, if I want to create any connection with my SQL server. I have a SQL server. If I want to go to a YouTube analytics, that means I want to see how many views are coming on YouTube, my videos, how many people are liking it, how many are subscribing it, how many clicking bell icon, how many people are really looking at my videos and who are watching it. Is it a females or males? Who are the fan following? What kind of gender I have? Is this people are from India or from different countries? Who are the people, set of people who are continuously watching my videos? This kind of analysis when I want to do on my YouTube, I can use my YouTube analytics, but we don't use it in corporate world because we are not into that environment. So we have something called SAP SQL, which you can connect. I have a lot of options here, but I need to understand what my company is using. And typically your system admin or technical guy who can provide you the server name to connect to those things here. So these are the different options we have. You may not use all this. Depends upon your the kind of job role you are in. You will be start using this option. You can also click on the Facebook. You can just fan pages. Facebook Insights. That means I want to see how many friends I have, how many people are really following me, how many posts I have done, how many people has given me a likes, how many given comments. I can do the complete analysis and I can have a dashboard for myself. So I don't expect this to be on the corporate world, but you'll not be doing your Facebook Insights until if you're working in Facebook company itself. If you're working in a Google, might be you're doing a Google Analytics or any other sub companies who are working with the Google, they might be working on the Google Analytics. But I'm not a kind of a person who works on these things because I'm from a banking domain. Maybe you're from pharmaceutical industry, you'll not be also using this. You are from IT industry, still you are not using this. Might be you're using some databases to get this data to be loaded. So that means to for example, if I type something called folder, I don't have option here. Actually, in enterprise version on the desktop version, you'll have folder option. That means you can directly create a connection to a folder so that going forward, you can ask the person who is inputting all the files into that folder. And every time this connection will go there and check the files and it will start loading into your Qliksense because you created connection for January. If somebody plays February, whenever this Qliksense is getting refreshed, it will also pick up the February file and the third month March file, next month April file. It will keep picking up the files from the folder because you have created a connection. That's a great advantage what we have, creating a connection from your folder. But unfortunately, we do not have that option in this environment because we're in the cloud environment and we are in the cloud environment which you are using. So we don't have that option at all here. So this is a creating a connection to your system. Hopefully once next week, maybe if I install SQL, at least I can show you how to connect to a SQL server from here. We have MySQL, MongoDB. We have Microsoft SQL Server, which is plays a very, very important role in most of the organization. We have the Oracle, we have Outlook 365. When you click on that, you can get all your emails. We have PostgreSQL, we have REST API. There are a lot of Salesforce you can see. So there are multiple things through which you can connect. Even I can connect to my Twitter and see how many people are tweeting, what kind of response I'm getting, whether I'm becoming popular or not, how many people are really following. I can do all those analysis. The moment you click on Twitter, what it will ask, the only thing it will ask you, what is your username and password? Then once you connect to Twitter, it will get all the data from your Twitter environment and you can start creating analysis on that. You can create a graphical presentation showing from which place which person is tweeting and what is the gender information here, how many females following are, males are following, how many, what age group people are following my videos, or from which part of the world people are watching my videos, or tweeting, or whatever it may be. Like we can connect to a different sources here. That's creating a connection from here. But there is by default being a cloud environment, what they've done is they've created already a connection for us. Let's see what happens when you click on this. You will also find this option in your environment, because this is by default allowing. Otherwise, in my enterprise or desktop, I'll not find these data files. I'll have only create connection. If I'm a first time user on this Qliksense, I never used it, will not have anything here, because you have never started your journey on this. You need to create a Qlik connection. So we'll see in the next episode how to create a connection, because I'm interested in connecting to a folder, but I don't have that option here in the cloud environment. Please do remember, only in the cloud environment. Had it been in the desktop environment or in your enterprise version, which is the high level enterprise version, licensed version, you will have that option. So let me click on the data files folder. What happens when you click on that, it will show me what are the different files you have in your system right now. Okay, when I click on any of the files which have, let's assume we have something called region, we have a live data, we have a country, we have region, sales records. Okay, this is the file which I loaded. Let me click on that and say select. Try to notice each and every parameter from here. I'll cancel it again to show you what's happening actually, because this is something, a new interface altogether which you are trying to see. So by default, you will be seeing a data files, nothing but it is cloud environment by default created a folder structure for you, through which you can go to your personal folders or your business drive, where you can just lift and shift your files into this particular environment. So being I'm loading from the file, I do not require all these sections. So I'm just deleting all those, because it's not required. So try to keep as neat as possible your load script editors, so that you can easily understand what's good and what's bad. You can easily differentiate here. And what are the different options here? Let me also explore. The first one here, I'm writing, this is my first loading data. Okay, I'm trying to write my own script here. This is my first time loading data. I'm 100% sure this doesn't make any sense. I've written some line which is nowhere related to Qliksense. This is only for your information. This is only for my information. This is a comment. I hope everybody knows what is a comment. Comment is nothing but giving additional information about your project. You are trying to be more explicit. You are trying to tell what this project is all about. So I know in Excel VBA, I need to use apostrophe to make that particular line comment, right? In this particular environment, you need to use 2 slashes will work. Yes, that 2 slashes will make that particular line as a comment. Comment is nothing but it's giving additional information. 2 forward slashes. If you are using Python, we need to use single quote. We need to use VBA, single quote. If you are using SQL, we need to use 2 hyphens to make some lines as a comment. So different languages, different tools has its own style of commenting. This is one style of commenting. Don't expect the line will become green color, which you have seen in VBA editor. No, it will be grayed out. That means this line is no more a code. This line is no more a script. This is only for user information. This is a documentation. I'm just writing a nice story about my project. This is my first time loading data. This is created due to this business requirement. Somebody asked me to do some changes. I'm writing all the story here, so that tomorrow somebody is taking over my development tool, somebody else is going to take care, because I moved out of this process, or I'm not working anymore with that department. So somebody wants to look at the code, they can easily understand what you are trying to do here. So this is basically a comment. I hope you guys understand, because we've been talking about this comment since long time. It's a comment. Comment is a comment. Additional information. So let me quickly click on this folder option. What happens is it will try to go to your data files and try to show you what are the different Excel files you have in your folder. So in these files, I wanted to go for the sales. Once you click on that, here also you can just drop a file here or click to select the file. You can also drag and drop and place the file here if you don't have, if it is missing. If you don't have that file in this folder, you can drag and drop, or else you can just click on the desired file and say select. Once you say select, what happens is you are going to see the next screen, and please do understand what this screen talks about. It's going to talk a lot of things. Let's try to explore step by step. Once I click on the select one, it is going to show me one more screen where it will tell me what exactly I'm trying to do. Okay, let's go to the first option, file format. It is telling it is a CSV file, so it is a delimited. Okay, and the second one, embedded file names, nothing but it has a data which has a header. So every data has headers here. Okay, every data will have headers, right? So here it is again telling delimiter, it's a common separated file, right? CSV, that means comma separated file, which is nothing but comma. And here it's saying quote. This is something a new one which I'm seeing because we don't have an enterprise version. Character set also will not have. These two options you can simply ignore. Actually, we don't have any importance of this. Here most of the time we just see this for a second you just stop and see, look at the screen. Why? Because we want to see if everything is fine or not. Most of the time, 99.9% your Qliksense will identify everything by its own. There is no need to check anything here. If you look at the second option here, header size, that means it is trying to, it will always pick up the first line as a header. So here we have a header size here, which is showing 0. 0 means Qliksense is so smart, it could able to understand the first line, the first row is a column for this data. Had it been, let's assume you are trying to extract your data from systems. Sometimes your header is not in the first row. Maybe after 5 or 6 rows, the header part is there. Anytime if you think that header part is not in the first row, you can increase the row, something like this. Click and you'll see the data row is increased to second one. Now, actually, if you look at this is not my data header column, right? So there's no need to change. But if you think the columns are not in the proper first row, then you can increase or decrease, but always keep it in 0 and just try to have a eyeball check here. The first row is it a header or not? If it is not, increase the number there. It will go and try to catch a column headers. And very important thing to be noticed here is there is a script which is written and by Qliksense itself. I'm still not writing any script. The Qliksense, though it is a editor, load editor. Okay, I'm currently working on a load editor, though I'm not writing anything. Qliksense is still trying to help me writing that script. Though I'm not able to understand what this script is at this moment, but let's see. Now I'm trying to click on this insert script or cancel. If you say cancel, it is not going to load the data for you. One more interesting thing part if you want to understand in this is there is something called a column called order date, which I don't want. So you can uncheck it. What does it mean? That means you never wanted this column to be loaded into your Qliksense server because this is not important. Your raw data has 100 columns, out of which 50 columns are not really relevant to my dashboard development, which I'm doing right now. So you can select, unselect the columns based on your requirement. If I remove all, your script is also shrinking. You can see load region and country only. But if when I click on item type, it is also writing one more line. When I click on sales channel, it is also writing one more line. When I'm
Seven,
clicking order,
one doubt here. So if my
now, once this script is already there by the load editor, I can uncheck. You can see the script is reduced now. Without that column, I'm checking back. So in this script, in this particular interface, the only thing you need to understand is what columns I require, what columns I doesn't require. If I want to change the column name also, I can change it. For example, I don't want region. I'm just changing to region name. And also you try to observe what happens in the script. Region, I said region name. Once I come out of that, it will see the region has changed to as region name. That means the original column in the Excel will never change. As region name, nothing but I've given some additional name to that or pet name like, okay, for my presentation sake only. What are the question Arvind asked last time? The same question. That means the region name what I've given now is only for my Qliksense. I'm not really impacting your data. I'm not doing any modifications to your data. Data is your Excel in next coming 12 months, you'll be getting as column name as a region only. But for my Qliksense, region is not region, it is a region name. That's how I given the name. So anytime you can do the modifications here, but I'll show you one more best place you can do. So right now it has renamed again to a region only. So these are the simple modifications which you can do at this stage. Now let me click on the very important button which is going to transform everything. Now once you click on the insert recording. All right, so now you just, this is the interface where you are able to see all the data which is trying to show me as a snapshot. Now you can also see some script here, which I'm hardly understanding, but I want to understand. Now, once you click on insert script, what happens is immediately it is going to write some script in your editor. Now, once you click on load data, earlier you have seen there is nothing actually here. You have seen that practically in action, there are no columns as such now. But when you go to data load editor, which you are written on your own script, though you're saying, okay, though you're saying you are written your own script, but don't you think it's really your Qliksense is helping you to write this code? But I'll try to explain every line here. But before that, see how the script is looking like. What are the different colors? I'm always fascinated with the colors. That's how I'll try to remember any technology. So all the keywords are showing in a blue color here. Okay, let me write it here so that we can spend some time on this. So tomorrow when I'm loading, there's no need to spend time. I'm writing here, blue color is keywords. Okay, it's showing some different colors here. The reason is you have done some mistake. What is that mistake? You have written some line which is not at all a code now. That is only, I'm just telling you, I'm writing a note, so it should be commented. Okay, I commented it. I commented that line. Now, once I want to write one more line here. Whenever you see amber color is basically for column names. Okay, whenever you see amber color, that means that is a column names. And whenever you see a black color, it is a path of the file. That's it. If you remember these three colors, four colors in fact, the first color is gray out color, nothing but comment. Okay, this is basically typically a comment gray, and the second color is blue color. So whenever you are trying to look into somebody's script also, you should be instantly should say this is how secretly quickly I'll try to learn any technology, because I try to understand the root level of any coding or any programming language. The reason is when you look at the colors itself, you should understand what is that. Load, I don't know what is load mean, but I know blue color means keyword. Okay, that's a keyword. From is a keyword. Delimiter is a keyword. Embedded is a keyword. Whatever I see in amber color, it is nothing but it's a column names. And whenever I see a black color, it's nothing but the path. Now, having understood all the colors, let's try to dig into more. Okay, so here I want to compare this particular entire script with a simple language called SQL. Okay, we all know SQL. I don't know how many know, but how the SQL query looks like, let me write here. I'm not really getting into depth. This is a very big topic. If I want to get all the records from my SQL table, I'll use select star from table name. This is how I get all the data from my table. But if I want a particular columns from my table, I'll say employee name, date of joining, city, region, from this table. That means I am trying to be very specific what columns I want to get from my SQL. So don't try to understand more. If you understand this line for Qliksense, it's enough. But if you want to be the master of this combination called a SQL plus Tableau, SQL plus Qliksense, SQL plus Power BI, SQL plus again your QlikView, whatever the technology you use, Qliksense SQL server always be backed up. So because your data is not small size, right? It is always a millions. Your company is using millions of trillions of data to store that data. I don't think so. Excel is sufficient. Notepad is sufficient. VCS is not sufficient. I want SQL server, relational database management system. It's not always SQL server. It could be a MySQL. It could be a Oracle. It could be a Salesforce. It could be a big data. Talk about any relational database management system, you can store the data. It's again depends upon your company. Right now, I'm trying to select a particular columns because there are thousands of columns in my table because I'm dealing with a very big project. I have thousands of columns. So when you want only few columns from your table, I'm going to select like this. This is a select to query from your SQL, that is structured query language. It is a language, but not a programming language. It's a query language. The word itself is indicating query means it's a question. It's a question you are asking a database. Can you tell me what is the average sales for the month? How many employees are there in the company? How many employees completed tenure like 5 years? How many people are earning 10 lakhs? You have some typical questions and your database is going to answer that questions. So whenever you want to talk to any database, you need to know this language called SQL because this is a language used universally to talk to any database, even if you talk about the, the desktop database like Evans Access. It is not a server based, it's a desktop app. So that's a query. So let me close that. It looks like a SQL query only if you look at this. Instead of select, I have a load here. And these are the column names. Every column name is separated with something called comma. Why I'm using a comma? If I don't use comma, it looks like this both the columns are a one column actually. So always try to use a comma here. So even if something is missing in the script, it will show you a different colors. Let me see. Practically, if I remove this comma, it is trying to show the rest of the part in different color. Okay, we can say directly red color because I missed the red color at the top as a comment. The red is nothing but some error in your script. So that means I missed something. So you cannot miss anything because every column has to be separated with a comma. That's it. So here we have a region, we have a country, we have an item type, we have a sales performance, order type. From, this is very important concept here. From where? This is your complete path. However, it is not telling me from which path it has picked up the file. Is it a C drive, D drive, shared drive? No, it will always take the relative path. Relative path in the sense lib. Lib stands for library here, the very first keyword what it is using. Lib is a keyword. Data files is a folder name. Under that there is a file name called sales records.csv. So now when I try to load this data, okay, let me try to rename the columns. Okay, this is very interesting now. Going very interesting now. I want to rename these columns. As I said, in the SQL, in the SQL queries, if you want to rename any column, again I repeat the same question here. When I'm renaming something, it doesn't mean that I'm renaming a column in the Excel. No, I'm not renaming in the SQL. I'm not renaming in Notepad. I'm renaming in the Qlik Sense just for my presentation's sake because people are not understanding what is the region. So I want to say as region underscore name. Why I'm giving underscore here? Can I remove underscore? When I use space here, it will throw an error because we cannot have spaces in between the words. So if you want to use a space, we'll see a little bit later, but if I want to have this region name as a single word, always try to use club it as a single word, else you can take the help of underscore here, which will make as a complete word. But sometimes it may be your requirement. You want region name with a space only, but not with underscore. Not to worry, we have an option. Just once you use the space, you get an error. When you feel like you need to have this as a single word with a space only, use brackets here, something like this. Open brackets and close bracket. It's not telling you anything now. That means this region name, it is considering as a single word, though it has a space because we clubbed in from both the sides, that is from left bracket and the right bracket. This is a keyword. This is a alias name, what you call as. The right name to be used here is technically this name is called as alias name. Alias is not nothing but giving another name to the column or a pet name. Okay, it's like a pet name to the name. I'm not liking that region. I want to be more specific region name or simply country. I want to make this country as country name rather. So let me say country space name. That's it. Here item type, it is enclosed in double quotes. What does it mean? So that means if I remove the double quotes, will it affect? Yes, because it is not a single word and it doesn't have any underscore. So Qliksense has enclosed in double quotes. So what do you mean by that? Like, can I use a brackets or double quotes here? Let me see if that is the case. Why I'm using brackets here? Let me remove brackets and use double quotes here. The way Qliksense is telling me, will it work or not? Let me see. All right. So that means there are two options in order to make your two words into a single word. Region name, you can use double quotes. You can use left bracket and right bracket in order to make that as a single word. So anytime you can rename your column names by using alias name called with a keyword called as. I don't want to tell you as is a keyword because it's showing already in the blue color. That's how you started really becoming smart in identifying the colors and telling confidently this is as is a keyword. So as is a keyword which is telling region. Now it is going to be called as region name, not as a region for your dashboard development, not for Excel, not for SQL. That's it. Now, when I try to load this data, what happens? Let's see. I just trying to load this data now. If everything is fine, you'll not see any errors here. But if you have any issues with your script, it will throw an error. But I will let me do some mistakes so that I can stop here and see. I have some issue here with comma. Let me load the data. I should be getting a nice message saying that there is an issue with your data. I cannot load further. Please stop it and go for your, sorry. So what it is trying to tell me is Qliksense is very smart in identifying the errors as well. It is will try to pinpoint exactly where is the error. It is telling you some data has not loaded. Please correct the error and try loading again. So the moment you close it, now the screen is still not closed because it wants to tell you there is an error and I cannot go further. So I need to close manually and come here, and you can easily identify there is a comma missing, say comma, and load it. This time the screen will not stay for long because once the data is loaded, it will disappear. It will disappear within no time once the data is loaded. It's only 1000 records, very quick, loaded. And the system speed is always plays a very important role. What kind of RAM you're using, what kind of processor you're using, because you're working with BI technology. Obviously, these performance is completely based on in-memory. So that's why Qliksense is called as an in-memory technology. That means your RAM, your not hard disk though, but your processor, your RAM should be much higher version so that you can see millions of records can be loaded very quickly. So that's a simple additional information, but let me just go back to the sheet and see what is happening. Once you go to the sheet, what you can see is my country is not called anymore country, it is called as country name. My region is not called as anymore region, it is called as region name. So this is what my interest is. This is what my business requirement is. I change according to their requirement. Again, I'm keep repeating this because we need to understand this point. I changed country to country name doesn't mean that I've changed in the source, that is in the my Excel. Let me go to my Excel and see practically did I really change anything. This is my sales record which I just loaded into my Qliksense. I'm trying to open the same source from where I loaded the data. So when I load my data, I should be seeing as a country name, I should be seeing as a region name. So let me go to my Excel. Okay, my Excel is open, but for my surprise, I can't see the region name as a region name, country not as a country name. It's still showing the same. Why? Because I'm not trying to do any changes to my Excel. My Excel will be Excel forever, but whatever the changes I'm doing, only in my Qliksense, so that for presentation, it should look good. Even layman can easily understand what it means, because sometimes when you're trying to extract the data from the systems, it has some typical names of the column names which you cannot understand them. It will have simply date. What does a date mean? Is it a date joining date? It's an order date, shipping date, what kind of date of birth? I don't know. So you want to be explicit, so you can rename the columns by using a alias name. So I have all the columns here. Whichever the column I want, I can use it here on the canvas to create the dashboard. Right now, I don't know how to create the dashboard. Let me go to the data load editor to understand more. This is how I just loaded data from my Excel. Now, this is one way. And second thing is there is a one more option which we have seen, data manager, data load editor. It is hidden again. The reason is I'm already in the data load editor, so it's not showing up. Now, let me go for a data model viewer. Okay, most of the developers feel that this is a very important uh, panel where we can go and see, because data manager we have seen already explored. We are also trying to check what is data load editor. There is one more called data model viewer. Data model is nothing but it will show you what are the different tables we have in graphical presentation. Let me just click on and see how the style is going to be look like now. So what it is trying to tell me is you have a table called sales record, and these are the columns what you have. That's it. So data model viewer, currently maybe I'm not finding it so interesting because I have only one table. Tomorrow, if you have multiple tables here, you can see the connections between or joinings between the tables graphically, and you can take the decision. Is it a right link, region name, and in other table there is a name called region. Is it matching? But it has created a link. This kind of a links what a Qliksense is already identified. You can break it or you can take it. So you can do a lot of things in this page, but right now no importance because I just loaded one particular table only. And let me understand more about this data load editor. Let me have a quick recap to understand what it is. Load is nothing but a keyword which will try to load all these columns from a table called this table. All right. And I want to give a proper name for this table. I don't have any table name here which mentioned. Basically, before my script, I want to give a table name. Whichever you want to give some table name, always mention at the top. And remember, whenever you see something in purple color, that is your table name. Or you can also find in joinings. But at this moment, let's write as join, but don't remember. Here, I want to write my table name as sales information. But unfortunately, I'm getting an error here. I was thinking like I want to give a table name, a proper table name, so that I can keep calling this table as a sales information throughout my dashboard development journey. But unfortunately, it's giving an error. The reason is you are not supposed to give a space, as we know. Can I use that double quotes here to just the way Qliksense is teaching me? Yes, of course, you can give. Can I give a brackets the way I know to give the uh, space to club into a single word? Yes, but ensure that even after giving that particular brackets left side and right side, or using a double quotes left side and right side, still it is giving an error. So what is missing here? Every time always remember, whenever you're giving a table name, we need to give colon here, otherwise it will not work. So that means you are telling to your entire script that this is a table name. Always the table name or joins, let's park it for some time. I'm not joining anything right now. It is a table name for which you have given left and right bracket because you wanted that to be a space. But if you don't want, you can keep it as a single word. If you don't want, if you want as an underscore, you can still use it, and you can avoid this brackets for some time. And without a colon, what I've noticed here is there is an error. That means it will not accept your script as a script because something is missing, that is colon. So always give a colon. That's how my job is done. When I run this again, if I go to my data load editor, what happens? Let's see. Because I keep checking, being I'm just learning the script level writing. I'm not written actually, it's already written, but I'm doing some modification. Now I have the full control on this script, which is written by me. I have the complete control. Unlike the data manager, if I edit it, it will disappear. I cannot have the full control anymore, but here I have the full control. Anytime I can change, I can go to the editor and see. So let me go to my data sheets again and see how the columns are looking like. Of course, it's going to be the way I want it. Now let me go to a data mode viewer and let's see how the table name is looking like, because I have given a proper name to my table so that I can remember forever throughout my development. It's telling me now sales information is my table. So always give a proper name to your table by just giving the colon in at the end of the statement. So this is how the load script look like. Typically, it will have the keyword called load. After that, it will have all the column names. You can also avoid all these lines by just removing everything and simply use star comma. That means you wanted all the columns from your table. Star denotes in the SQL denotes that you want all the columns, irrespective of anything, you want all the columns. But it's always is advisable to have the columns individually because that's how you can identify what's happening. And somebody asked a question like you want to delete some columns but not required. So let me remove something. Order date is not required, remove it. Order ID is also not required. Unit price is also not required, everything. Just remove everything. I removed everything, but I still notice there is an error. Please do remember every after the column, you need to give a comma, but for the last column, please do avoid giving a comma. Let me see how by default it was there before I delete. Okay, if you notice, all the columns has a separator called comma here, comma, comma, comma. At the end, if you come down, there is no comma here. So that means for the last column, you are not supposed to give a comma. Why? Because that's how the script works. For the last column, you're not supposed to have. So when I'm trying to delete, I'll get into some problem, that is error. Why error? The moment you look at this, you should understand there is an additional comma for the last column, just remove it. So that means now it's okay. Now let me run. Out of 8 columns, I left with only 4 columns now. Just let me load the data again back. Now I should be seeing same 1000 records will be loaded, but only 4 columns now. Lines fetched 1000, saving the app. It's loaded successfully. I'm going to the sheet now. It's no surprise if you see only four columns in your Qliksense dashboard. Now, when I go to the load script, this is what the data have. Now, this is what I just created the data, but somebody told me this is not the right table. So let me go here. We have something called comments, which we just learned. I can give comment. I can give comment because I want to use the script later purpose. So I'm commenting it instead of deleting it. But I'm finding it really difficult to comment each one line. Don't worry, just select the entire stuff and go to the first option called comment. You can just click on this. Everything is commented. When you click back, everything is uncommented. So you can just play around with this, how to comment more than one line in a single go. When you think this script you don't want to run at this moment, you want to use it for the later purpose. At this moment you don't want, but you load it, but you are commenting it. Later you can uncomment to make use of it. And here there is an option called indent. Indent is nothing but you want to just styling your code, you can do it. That's a very simple thing. And we have this we have something called undo and redo. This is nothing but help from the Qliksense help mode. This is your undo and redo. Here we have something called load data, which you keep using anyway. There is something called debug also. Right now, I don't want to get into a debug mode because first thing I want to see how the data loads, how to rename few things. Later on, if I'm writing a complex script, then I can really see how to debug any code. Debug is nothing but it's a process. It's a process finding any issues with your script which is being developed by Qliksense or by you or by anyone. If you want to help somebody, somebody said there is an issue with my script, obviously you need to debug it. Debug in the sense, checking line by line and understanding where is the issue. So now I'm happy with the 4 columns, so I'm loading it. So once the load is completed, that means I'm trying to commit the changes here. Very simple. Once I say, I'm not saying anything because if it is saved successfully, it will close automatically. I'm not liking this dashboard anymore. I mean, this data anymore. I'm commented it. Okay. Now I'm creating one more section for fun because I want all the not related information. I want to keep it one section, another section. Maybe I want to load data from, okay, load data Excel. That's my new name to a new section where I want to create a new file altogether again. So let me go to the folder section. As I said, it's already there. Just click on it. This time I want to click on, I have only these files. Let me check. Okay, I have something called region. All right, so now I'm in the process of loading one more table or many tables maybe. I have a table here. Let's try to understand what it says. This tab is talking about orders. By looking at the tab name, I can understand, but what is the data quality here? The very first column says order ID. Let me increase order ID. The second one says employee ID, which makes sense. It's all IDs only, nothing is written wrong. Sometimes it may happen your data is extracted from systems and it will be columns are interchanged. Here we have employee ID, but it could be somewhere you have a date. So we need to do all this uh, testing before you actually load. So we have a customer ID, freight, order date, when is the required date, what is the shipping address, what is the city, what is the country, what is the ship name, when is going to be shipped, what is the code of that shipped. We have all the information about the orders. But if you look at the order details, does it have any similar column where I can make these two tables join? Okay, let's see. Order details has a discount, okay, which this table is missing. That means this order table is talking about all about the orders but there's no such column about discount. So if I want to understand this order ID by this employee with this customer ID, if he has ordered something for the country called France, what kind of discount he got? I don't have any information in this table. For that, I need to go to the order table. Okay, he got zero discount. But how do you know in that guy and this guy is same? Because the product ID is 10248. Here also the product ID is 10248. That means it is both are sharing some common key column through which you are going to talk to each other. So now this is what the table I have. All right, so now let me try to load the table from the same folder. So when I click on this table, we have something called orders. Okay, I'm not finding it here. I don't know for some reason. So let me click on this and go to drive. Not here. Go to the desktop. We have something called QS. Under the QS, we have something called order to whatever. Once I say open, the file is open and the data is getting loaded. So what is the difference you are going to find here? Let's see. Now the file is added. I don't know, it should be showing, but it's not showing. Now I'm clicking on it and seeing select. Now, once the data, what is the major difference you need to understand here before when I was trying to load only one table, and what is the difference now? So that means if you see, it is telling me you are trying to load a file called Qliksense. Of course, yes. It's not giving me other information like it is a delimiter, it is a comma, it is a space, because that is a different file altogether. The file which I loaded, it was a CSV. CSV is nothing but common comma separated file. So obviously you'll have all these options. Okay, so it is being an Excel file. It doesn't have much questions to be asked to you. It is simply saying it is Excel file. Am I right? That is what the question it is asking, and I'm saying yes, you are right. You can have multiple options here, but Qliksense has rightly identified uh, it is a Excel file. Now the question is, as the question was asked, like if the Excel is having 2 tabs or 200 tabs, will the Qliksense will load all the tabs automatically? Yes, no. Let's see. So on the left panel, which you haven't seen earlier, now I'm getting a different panel here altogether. It is telling me there are 2 tables, there are 2 tabs here. Do you want both the tables to sit in your script? Yes, no? Okay, I have the first order table by default selected because at least one table to be loaded when you try to click on Excel file, right? So it is telling me orders. Okay, let me click on the order detail as well. It is going to show me the second table information. That means the second tab from your Excel. This is how you are going to load multiple sheets from your Excel. So I have order details, I have order. Now, if you think like both are important for me, just click on both and wait for that turn is over. Now you can see the same kind of script, but this time little difference. Let's see in action. Once I click on insert script, what happens is this time there are 2 load script. Why? Because you are trying to load 2 different tables from the same Excel sheet. Though it is an Excel sheet having different tabs, each tab is considered as a different table. I'm little getting confused actually, because there are 2 different scripts, but I don't know which table is talking about which table. So it's always better to give a proper table name. This is order. It's always better to give a proper name, order, table. Let's say close this. I'm getting error. I know why, because there's a colon missing. So let me go for the second one, which is more or less order table only, but it is giving more details about order details. So let me give a proper name, order details. Now close this. Once you close the bracket and see, you have loaded 2 tables. If I'm liking it, if I'm able to understand what I'm doing, I can put all this script into a single editor, or else just cut it, put it in the second one, saying this is order details. Now, by this time, you should have understand why I'm having more sections. This is just to understand very clearly which table is sitting in which section, so that tomorrow if I want to edit, quickly I can come to this section, because I've written very good name. I've given very good name to my section. I can easily come up here and check only that particular section. If I have multiple tables loaded in the single section, it will be little confusion, but I have no confusion now. It's clearly written. It is a order detail section. This is a order tables. But don't worry, if you anytime if you feel all the things need to be clubbed at one place because I'm not able to navigate from one section to another section, keep everything at one place, no matter. But always advise Always keep sections wise information, which will make our life easy, or for anyone who is looking into your code also will be easy. Okay, so here let me try to load the data and let's see the fun, because so far I was trying to load only one table, but this time two tables. I'm very curious to see whether my Qliksense is so smart it can join the tables automatically together without me getting involved into this. Now, once I go to the sheet, what you will see is from the first sheet, I have some 50 columns. From the second table, I have some 10 columns. So overall 60 columns. You are going to see all these 60 columns here by default. So that means it is showing me all the columns at one place. But anytime if you want to differentiate, that means I want to see only the columns from the orders details. Okay, I can see. Earlier, I don't have this option because only one table. Now I have this option. When I click on order table, I can see all those columns which are coming from order table. But if you are not particular, just click on order all tables. It will show all the columns from all the tables. Now, somewhat I'm finding it's interesting because I'm able to load two tables at once. But I want to see how the data load is editor model viewer is looking like, because earlier I had only one table. Right now I should be seeing two tables. But do I have the connection here? Fantastic. There is a connection between these two tables, between order ID and order ID. Who told these are the two exact columns actually? Nobody has told. The Qliksense is smart enough to identify both columns are talking about same data. So let me join them. So it has joined already. Can you see, guys? This is already joined, and these tables you can arrange the way you want. You can join. You can place any the way you want. It's just like arrangements only, because anytime when you want to come back to this page and you want to have a clear idea what you're doing, you can modify it. You can zoom it, unzoom it the way you want, but better to keep this size, because tomorrow you may have some other tables also. It's better to have this style. And this one, let's see what is the source table view. That means when you click on this, it will it will try to show you the source data table and the connection between this. And we have this typically collapse all. That means I don't want to see all the columns, so let me collapse it. This is just showing what is the key in between these two columns. So you can just collapse, uncollapse. This is only a cosmetic things what we are finding, but the main advantage we need to focus on the screen is more how it is joining, what key is connected between these two. Okay, now let me go to this option. Nothing much, grid view. If you want to the layout, if you want a grid view, you can make it. Okay, grid view. Now the most important factor which I'm going to talk now is why the Qliksense is able to join the tables. If you can understand this, you have done the 50% of the job, guys. You need to understand why Qliksense has identified these two tables are good to go to join, and they should talk to each other. The reason is both the tables have one column, same name, order ID, and this table is also having order ID. Both the columns are same. What if this order ID name is something like order underscore ID, and this order table is having is a order ID? Let's have fun by just loading it again. What I did is both the column names are same earlier. Now I changed one of the column to underscore ID. Will it still identify? Now it is as a problem. It was telling me it just joined these two tables based on the column you created, but now you are trying to change the actual column, which is not good. This is not, this is the actual column. You cannot rename the column like this. If you want to rename, how you're going to do is you need to always use as a keyword order underscore ID. Now, what does it mean? I'm trying to rename that column. You cannot change the column from here, because this is how the column name is in the Excel or in the SQL or in the Notepad. So you cannot change the original column like that. You have to always use the alias name. Now, what the magic I'm doing is in the order table, I have an order ID. In the orders details also, I have an order ID. Both the names are same, so that's why it's able to join. Now I want to see if I change the name of the order ID, which was similar earlier, with a different style order ID, I have given underscore. So underscore also makes difference, right? It is, you are making it a different name, or let's say underscore IDs. Now I try to load this data. Now I want to understand how the Qliksense is going to treat. Will it still try to join this two or not?
It
This,
will, I guess.
yeah, this is a clear demonstration which will tell you, is it trying to join the tables based on the table column names, or column values. That is the most curiosity what I have. Before I just go into any of the sheets, I want to go to the data model viewer. In the data model viewer, I want to see two tables with connection, but however, the connection is missing between the two tables. The connection is missing between two tables because Qliksense knows only one thing. If the column names are same, it will join. It will never try to look into the column values. Very important note to be understand. These are the very key important things and important questions to be asked in interview. If the column names are same, will it join? Yes. If the column name is different, it will never join. If the column names are different, but the column values are same, for example, the order ID has the same values in the sense whatever the rows it has. Column order ID also the same values. It can match, but it is not matching because Qliksense always identify the column while it is joining, it will always try to understand with the names. However, we can also force them to join together, though it has a different name. Let's see how to do that. This is once again important. I'll go to the data manager. I'll go to the data manager. Forcefully, I will try to
Build the
make
relationship.
build the relationships here. That means so once you come to this place, what happens is it will try to show you the data, which is order table and order data. Now we have two tables. The thing is a very bad approach when you are writing the load script and coming back to data manager to do all this, because I'm finding it's interesting and easy because I'm not a coder. I'm finding it's very interesting to do the joinings with a graphical presentation rather than writing. So let me do with a graphical presentation. That is how to join them. Now it is telling me synchronize scripted tables because this is a scripted which you have written on your own and you are asking me to do this job on my own. So once you click on this synchronize, what happens is it will start synchronizing the code which is written by the Qliksense and the code which I've written by me. Now, these two tables, I don't know which columns has a similarity, and I wanted this to have a key common. Initially, when I was trying to tell you, it is trying to somewhat trying to help me with it is trying to help me with the recommendation options. Here is the place. What it is trying to suggest me is boss, you have some similar column, order ID and product ID. Do you want to do that connection? I know this is not the right connection actually. So I want to do on my own. So let me do that. If you want to do that, it's so funny. You can just hold this bubble and try to touch that bubble. It will show some color, right? So that means it's trying to tell me that there's no matching here. Okay, just leave it. Now let me see if this order is having any matching with this. Okay, it's not interested maybe. Let me try to drag it and just connect it and leave it. If you find any connection between this, you will see it will join automatically. If it is not, it will never try to join because it doesn't have any common column. If I just try to click on here, I'm trying to place what is happening. Let's see. It is trying to create order ID and product ID as a join. You can see here product ID and product ID from this table, that is orders detail. Order ID, there is something called order ID. In the order tables, order ID. In this product ID, there is, in this table, product ID. There are actually values wise, they are same actually. The column name is different. So that means forcefully, I'm trying to build a relation here. If you see how beautifully these two bubbles are joined together because they married to each other now, they are so best buddies, they are talking to each other. Now they are in relation now. They are in relation. They are talking to each other. They know each other better now because they are connected with one key column called product ID and order ID. Guys, no confusion. When I'm trying to load a data, if it finds a similar column, it will try to join automatically. But if you want forcibly to join, even though the column name is not matching, at least I want to check if the column values are matching, please club them. This is how you are going to club. Now, if anytime if you feel this is not a right relation, just let's give a break up here. So anytime you can just click and leave it, the relation is broken between these two tables. Now there's no relation at all. Now, once you want to make the relation again, just place it and leave it. It will take some time in understanding the complete script. It will try to read the entire column, the values. Then it will take a decision. Yes, this is a right table to be matched. It will take a few seconds, depends upon your system speed. As you're on Zoom, obviously it's taking time, and it's, here we go. You'll see two bubbles are married to each other now. Not interested? Yeah. Now you can see both are linked to each other forever. Now, once you say load data, what happens is now they have become, there is a relation between these two tables. That means I don't know how to write the code. I just use the graphical interface to join together. Now, let me see what is the way of joining these two tables by script itself. Let's see. Now it's taking some time to load the data because it is not just loading the data, but also trying to create the relationship between these two and creating the information. So once I close this, the data is loaded. I want to go to my load script and see what is the magic happened, because I was thinking I will be writing the entire script, but in between I took the help of data manager. Now I want to see what is the reaction of data load editor. Once I click on data load editor, you will see you have order table, we have order details. But what's happening here? There is a one more section called auto generated, which is not written by me, which is not written by me. What it is, what is trying to tell is there is a table called order table. There is a table called order order details. They are now in relation. That is what the code is being written by the data manager. Why? Because all these actions I've done with the help of data manager, so it has written the script. So when you are writing your own script, never try to go take the help of data manager, because it always creates one more section with its own code. Once you say unlock, the connection, the relationship will break. So never try to use both the combinations. It's a toxic combination. So never try to use that one. So simply unlock this combination, and I don't want this relation anymore. Just I'm closing this and delete it. Now you want to make the same relationship with your own names. So let's see how we can do that. Now I have an order ID. So let me intentionally, let me change order underscore IDs as a different name, so that they should not talk to each other. But actually your aim should be always multiple tables should always talk to each other, so that you will get the accurate information. The best example, what I told, the school teacher example, one notebook is having the complete student information, second notebook is having a birthday information. So when you want to check this student when he is celebrating his birthday, you need to look into other table, other notebook, and that's how without your knowledge, you are trying to make a relation there. So now the loading process is completed. I want to go to the data model viewer. I want to see, is there any relationship between them? Yes, no. Let's see in action. There is no relation at all, because the column names nowhere matching, and it's not understanding what to do. So let me do it through the script, how to join the tables. As you have seen, left join, right join, inner join. Just let keep everything aside for now, and let's see the easiest way of joining both the tables. When I'm having an order table here, for now, just let me put both the tables at one place, so that you can see practically what's happening. Uh, Even if you have other section also, doesn't matter. So we have order ID, we have right, we have a lot of things here. I wantedly made order ID and order ID different, so that they should not talk to each other. Whenever you want two columns to talk to each other, where their values are right. For example, order ID and here product ID are both are same. Both the values are same. So for that, I need to go to my Excel and see what exactly I'm talking. So if I go to my orders table, you might have observed while I was discussing about data, order ID and product ID, both are same. The only thing is that name is different because it is extracted from some systems maybe. So this is what you need to have check every time whenever you're working with data. So now this is my Excel data. We have orders, we have order ID. When I go to my orders detail, I have a product ID, which both are same. If you look at 10248, that is 5-digit number. Orders also has the same column, but the column name is different. So that's why my Qliksense is not able to join them together. If you want them to talk to each other, what you can do is very, very simple. It will happen within a fraction of seconds. I want you to notice what I'm doing. I want this order ID, I want this product ID to marry each other, talk to them, be in the relation, how it is possible. Yes, it is possible. One way is go to the data manager and do it, but I'm not liking it because it is trying to generate auto-generated code, which I cannot edit it and I need to keep and bear it. So let's try to do your own script now. What you need to do is, in order to make this to talk to each other, as it has a order ID column, make this order product ID also as order ID. So by doing that, what you are doing, I am trying to make a relationship between these two tables. I've done within a fraction of seconds. I want you to notice what I'm trying to do. The column values are same, but the column names are different. In order to make the column names same, here I have an order ID, here I have product ID. So in order to make both to talk to each other, I've given as order ID. Now let me go to the data model viewer, where I always spend little time, but it's a very important section where it will teach me what you are trying to do practically. Order ID, order ID. Actually, it's not an order ID column, it is a product ID, but I renamed it so that they can talk to each other because both shares the same data. Let me go back to the data load editor. Once again, I can see now both the tables are talking. I have not used any join. I have not used right join, left join, inner join. We'll see that later, but without that, it so magically happened without writing much script itself. This is a secret here. Actually, the people use a lot of joinings here and there to match these records. No, not required. Just make these two columns similar. That's it. They will talk to each other forever in and helping you in developing the dashboard.